Have you been keeping up with the news? Boy, I have. And it seems like violence is more and more prevalent almost everywhere we go, not only on the streets outside our home, but inside our home. Goodness sakes, carjackings, yes, street muggings. I saw the news the other morning, and a fellow got mugged coming out of the grocery store, had a bag of groceries in his hand. And the guy with the hoodie and the black ski mask and pointed a gun in his face, stole his wallet, his money, all of his valuables, keys to his car, keys to his home, and fled. And so it seems commonplace. Every time we watch the news, it seems to get worse and worse. And so we prepare for that. We try and prepare for the gunfight as well as the court fight, because you'll really be faced with both, right? Because in the assault, you must survive the gunfight. And if you're fortunate and trained enough to survive the gunfight, the next thing to survive will be the court fight. And so the court fight will follow immediately after the gunfight, because as soon as the dust settles, right, law enforcement may not have gotten there yet, but they're coming. So what do you say to the arriving officers? What do you say to the witnesses that surround you? Who do you talk to? What about an attorney to represent you? Yes, a lot of questions come up. We talk about those questions in our annual Urban Self-Defense and the Law Conference this year, coming up in Boise, Idaho, October 13th through 16th. I bring guest speakers with me at that one because there's a lot of information to cover, and it's the most popular thing we do all year. So I'm going to cover in depth the aftermath. And throughout the days that we're there, we'll talk about the aftermath, what to do and say, how to handle the aftermath of the gunfight. It's an important, deep topic. And so we'll work off the book authored by attorney Jim Fleming. And he will give you several notes that you can take home with you and important information about how to handle the aftermath for sure. And so also, I'll bring guest speakers. One of our guest speakers will be Dr. John Lott. So Dr. John Lott is a statistician. Read his book, More Guns, Less Crime. And so we know that we can get the accurate facts and figures from John. Apart from the statistics, he will cover many of the laws and the actual true meanings of those laws and cover misconceptions, untruths, facts, fiction. You'll come away from this conference knowing what to trust, what that you know is correct, and what to be a little careful of. Also, Suzanna Hupp. Suzanna Hupp, as you may recall, survived the Luby Café massacre that was way back when. That was October 16th, 1991. She survived, but her parents did not. They were part of those that were murdered at that time. And so more than 40 people were shot. Over 20 people died at the scene. Suzanna survived, and she went on to work for the Texas legislature and changed Texas law under then Governor George Bush. With that success, she helped more than 30 other states modify and change their self-protection laws for the better for all of us. She's a powerful woman, not to be missed. And so if you'd like to see her live on stage, she doesn't do these kind of interviews over the internet anymore. And so it's live on stage. Please join us there, and you'll get all the information of what really happened that day. There's a lot of misinformation about what happened there as well. So hearing it directly from Suzanna will get you on the straight path for truth. Also joining us at conference in October will be Kerry Slone. We're fortunate to have Kerry join us. And so Kerry is a domestic violence survivor. Yes. And so more common than we'd like to believe or think about. But are women oftentimes the subject of domestic violence? Yes. Should they know how to protect themselves? Yes. And so she has become a national instructor on domestic violence, as well as just helping women protect themselves in every situation. Not only domestic violence, but not at home, on the streets, while shopping, while out and about, out with the kids, going to school. But yes, Kerry will give you the skills and the insights needed to protect yourself in all those different situations. I'm fortunate to have her, and we're looking forward to Kerry joining us at conference this year. Yes, if you cannot join us, then there's a couple of options. One of them will be to join us in Washington following that. So following that conference, we'll do a one-day wrap-up in Washington, and it'll be our Law School Sunday School, October 29th. And we'll cover the laws in Washington and do a recap of those things that we learned at the conference. And so live and in person. And so join us there in October on Law School Sunday School. If you can't make it in person, then the next best thing to do, join us online. I plan on doing one online wrap-up, and that will be on Saturday, November the 11th. And we'll wrap this up online. And so you can join us from the comfort of your own home. In fact, if you miss it, it'll be recorded. And so you could get the recording and enjoy that later. And so either way, having it in person, having it at home, or join us in Idaho, those are your choices there. Then we've added some live fire range time. Many of you have asked for that. We'll kind of work on bad habits, work on some good habits, developing good habits, and maybe even have some time for a requalification if you wish. We'll wrap that up in the year with our Way Beyond class. It's way beyond your CCW, kind of like it sounds. So Way Beyond Your CCW is a class we produced of what would you need to know and do, what would you need to learn and practice, and what skills would you need now that you have your permit. And so work on good skills. We'll work on range evaluations. Range evaluations means we're going to talk about grip and stance and trigger control and getting you stable on the range and improving your accuracy. Then we'll work on shoot, no shoot scenarios, kind of hooking in some of what we learned at the law conference back to, okay, when would it be justifiable to shoot and when not? You should know those things and we can learn them firsthand on the range. Any chance there'd be multiple assailants? Yes. And so we'll work on multiple assailants. That's more than one bad guy. And so how would you handle more than one bad guy? Any chance there might be more than one? Yes. We're going to be joined at this class by Officer Nick Franzen. He is an Idaho Sheriff's Department trainer, and he's coming as part of our training team, and you'll get a lot of insight from Nick on all of these topics, including hostage rescue. Would that be something law enforcement would need to do at times? Well, yes. And so we'll do hostage rescues at our Way Beyond class, as well as many different types of stances, predicament shooting, barricades, over and under things. We'll talk about malfunctions. Could the gun malfunction in the middle of your gunfight? Well, it could. So if it could, you should know how to cure that malfunction in the middle of the fight, not back at a workbench, but while you're in the fight. And we'll cover all those malfunctions and how to fix it in the middle of your gunfight at this class. And then gunshot trauma. If you're in a gunfight, any chance you might get hurt? Any chance a loved one might get hurt? Yes. So we'll talk about gunfight trauma. So how would you do gunfight first aid, gunfight trauma? Save the lives of those that may have been injured, including your own life. And we'll probably have time to cover backup guns. We get a lot of questions about backup guns. Apart from my primary gun, if something happens to that, should I carry a backup gun? Well, we think that's a good idea. So we'll talk more and more about backup guns at this class. We'll have 2 days, joined by our law enforcement officer, Nick. He'll be there for both. And lots of question and answer time and time for one-on-one training. And we will brush up your skills and give you more confidence than you've ever had before. And so, does any of that sound interesting? Sound like something you'd like to be involved with? Join us with? I hope so. I'm trying to tempt you. We're trying to do some things here to tempt you. And of course, seating is limited for this. So we've added these classes this fall. We've already had some signups. And so the seating is limited on our additional classes. Would you like more information on these? Well, I hope so. If you'd like more information, not too tough, just pick up the phone and give me a call. First callers, of course, will get best choices at the classes that we still have available. Call me personally, direct, at 360, number 378-1776. I hope to see you guys in class.